Hey nerds. Just got finished watching season 4 of Girls in preparation for the final season 6 premiere, February 12th. If you didn't know, I'm a humongous Girls fan. Also a huge fan of Lena Dunham. Figured it would be easier to do overall season review like I did with the OA as opposed to a uh, episode per episode review. Although I do plan to do episode per episode review as the final season airs. All that being said, I'm gonna just jump right into it. It's been a while that since I watched Girls, and ironically, the first 3 episodes of season 4 I actually had seen already, but I watched them anyway, not being completely sure if I had or not. That being said, getting back into it was very easy, and even without the last time on Girls things, other than in the very first episode at the beginning of the season, everything kind of explains itself rather well. I will say the writing for Girls is very good in that it is a slice of life show, yet doesn't get overly convoluted with its plots, even though it has a lot of character development and relationships, and relationships are basically the crux of the entire show. I feel at home with these characters, and it was very easy to relate to them again and see where they are. And the gap in my own life watching it has also proven to give me a little bit more maturity on watching it, which I think is interesting because Girls is a comedy, and some people don't view it with the esteem that I do. Although it is kind of a reflection on millennial culture, which I don't think most people who know of Girls can really deny. I guess centering in on our fourth female protagonist, Hannah's journey through the season is kind of like her lowest, which is kind of funny considering you would think because of her agency and because of all the mistakes she makes throughout the series that she would have held low a long time ago. But this low is kind of actually illustrated by the fact that usually every season she starts with a new boyfriend, or not necessarily a new boyfriend, but a boyfriend, and they kind of have a opening shot of their bodies in bed together. Every season before this has had this. This season kind of jumped the gun, and in the, I believe, third episode of season 4, we actually see Adam in bed with a girl who he is dating. I think it kind of sets up kind of a inverse relationship that almost sets up Adam as the main character of the series in a weird way, especially because there are story fragments that we don't get to see because we don't see it from everything from his perspective. At least not the stuff that's been happening with him, with Hannah being gone. I do like how Girls plays with time. Time between seasons sometimes is only a few days at most, but then once the season starts, we can do a month time skip and have lost track of what was happening with other characters if we single on one, which the beginning of this season actually does. And it does quite well to isolate Hannah from all of her friends, even more so than usual, which is really interesting because it gives her even less influence on the rest of the characters' stories, and the whole kind of motif of Hannah's friends kind of going on without her is continuing as the fact that their lives have to go on whether or not Hannah's around or not. So even when she is back in the city, we still see her affecting her friends' relationships much less than usual, other than with Adam. Moving on. Let's see. Uh, let's go with Marnie, who went from the other woman to the main woman, but realized that the person that she thought that she wanted was not being completely authentic in themselves. I won't get super into it, but this kind of like jumping into marriage thing, and it kind of being a sign of toxicity to come in terms of their interactions leading to the proposal, I think is very interesting and kind of trying to show a message of people jumping. Sorry, a message trying to illustrate people jumping into marriage too soon, or just like a really deep relationship too soon, and it kind of being something that through further evaluation isn't all that it's cracked up to be. Although Marnie's journey through this season is less humiliating than a lot of other characters, although it is a little sketchy in the sense of she gets a lot of shit from the one character. I would say that most of the negativity in her storyline comes mostly from Desi, and that's a shame to see. But it's also interesting to see Desi not see himself as a self-appointed asshole, and not really seeing himself as even a like a music snob of any sort, but just like a romantic who's just trying his best to get along with as many people as possible, which unfortunately just goes contrary to how the world likes to do things. I think in the end, Marnie comes out pretty strong. She'll have a lot to trifle through, and her relationships will probably still be pretty treacherous going forward. But considering we don't see Desi at the end of the season, it kind of leaves a weird taste in my mouth. Continuing, Shoshana, if you didn't get the nickname. They seem to be the baby of the group in general throughout the series. They are, I believe, the youngest of the main four, and she really struggles with maturity in ways Hannah doesn't necessarily, whereas Hannah kind of elevates herself with the knowledge that she does have in terms of literature. Shoshana outtalks people. I mean, she's very good at conversation, but she can kind of pull it to the ground. And it's kind of funny, she had one of the more close to home problems this season. She was trying to find a job. That was her main thing. And she was getting distracted by so many things. But I think it really puts into perspective, when it's hard times, you can't just buckle down and just, this is my goal, only my goal. It kind of showed that she was trying to be well-rounded, and although it never came up, which I was thinking in the back of my head the whole season, is like, man, when's rent due? It really felt like a struggle that a lot of people have, not just like, the age range the show is meant for, but also the people that are just doing whatever they can do, but kind of locked into leeching off of other people, which it was interesting to see Shoshana not do. Although it is fair to say that there is a great amount of privilege shared between the characters in the show, the main four specifically. So considering she's living in New York with one roommate in the nice part of town with no job, probably means her parents are still helping her to a degree. But she does make a choice for herself to move to Japan at the end of the season, even though she had a relationship flourishing that she could have went for. And the friendship that she has with Ray and her respect for him actually really make me happy. And although they were a big ship of mine, I'm okay letting that ship sail, considering they seem like good friends together, even though it's a little abusive. Going to the last member of the party, the foreign member, as Adam would put it. Um, their story arc isn't really prevalent this season. I mean, they are sprinkled around and they do have lots and lots of freaking influence on the series. However, they don't do much outside of other people's storylines. I don't think I ever see her on screen this season with anyone else. Although she does have uh, notable screen time with Adam, given the whole relationship square thing that was going on with them. I do think that it enriched the story, but I would like to see more of her next season. Although I do realize that her strengths might actually be in other people's storylines. Moving to the kind of end of the season thing with the big reveal of Adam and Hannah, the power couple, are not getting back together, and they even, for good measure, give us a 6-month time skip to show her with the guy she was trying to get her whole time back in New York. It seemed like the show was trying to move in a different direction, although I do still ship her and Adam, and there is a certain dysfunction to them that I find endearing, unfortunately, even if they are kind of toxic for each other. And on a separate note, Adam's yelling, very verbose, very powerful, and really, really commands a scene. And after seeing The Force Awakens and this is where I leave you, and some other stuff that Adam Driver has done, seeing kind of where at least I started seeing him is seeing that the performance still holds up. Really makes me happy and reassures me that it's not just hype that's made him such a just given him such notoriety as of late. Adam's sister and the birth thing kind of came as a Hail Mary for the end of the season as like the big event, but I did really appreciate it because there wasn't any build up to it in a story relevant way. I feel like, I mean, they did a mention of it, I think in episode 7, or like or made a point of showing her and her pregnant belly and her baby daddy, but it really didn't feel like it was gonna be a big thing of the season. Although with that last episode of the season being called Home Birth, it seemed really easy to predict if you had seen the titles. I guess I could do a more comprehensive review, but I do have a limited amount of time, and I don't want to do this kind of briskly, especially because I'm about to be devouring a lot more girls. I still got 10 episodes to go, I believe, so a whole season before the 12th, and I'm pretty sure I'll be able to catch up, but I do have a lot of other things on my plate. With that, nerds, I do really appreciate our time together, and I really hope you liked this review. Also, I hope you watch Girls.